Google and Apple facing lawsuits. In both cases are transparency related. The lawsuit is because of the incognito private mode in Chrome browser. Contrary to what most people believe, they continue to track, collect, and identify their browsing data in real time. If granted by the court, will force Google to pay at least $5 billion in damages. In an honest approach from our side here in re.mental, this is well known many years ago. By reports, their own warning, and even more in that thing that you never read, the terms of use and privacy policy, which, by the way, if you read, you will be shocked of what you will find there. Apple, on the other side, may face a lawsuit, but by the shareholders. All this because they conceal information about the sales of their devices. The situation was that Tim Cook, current chief executive, on November 1, 2018, was assuring that iPhones were in high demand, to be only a few days later sending orders to manufacturers to slow down production. Then they reduced the quarterly revenue forecast by $9 billion on January 2, 2019, but blamed the cut on the US-China trade tensions. This caused a loss of $74 billion of market value. As the saying goes, there are three types of lies: lies, damn lies, and statistics. How all this affect you? Do you remember these headlines? These two companies will be in charge of all your personal pandemic data via an app backed by politicians. Can you imagine a situation like this in China? How the world, politicians, media, and social media activists will be reacting to something like this? A new scam. Stem cell firms are offering stem cell products as COVID-19 therapies. As usual, now clinics and individuals are trying to sell people treatments for the COVID-19 using magic words like snake oil and colloidal silver. And the latest one to enter these scam treatments is the stem cells. The International Society for Stem Cell Research and the International Society for Cell and Gene Therapy have recently warned that such marketing is irresponsible, given that there are currently no approved stem cell-based approach for the prevention and treatment of COVID-19 anywhere in the world. As usual, these products are marketed as really exclusive products, which is another word for expensive treatments. The actual truth is that legitimate clinical trials are underway to evaluate a range of interventions, from drugs to vaccines and cellular therapies. It remains too early to know if this will work or are safe, according to Stem Cells Australia. But none of these are available to any person or institution. If you want to know more about what doesn't work, please visit the official site of the World Health Organization, which offers a Mythbuster page addressing this and other miracle cure scams. The links to English and Spanish version can be found in the description. Burger King introduces cutting-edge technology to the social distance problem. The scientific researchers at the Burger King developed this device to help people keep social distance in its restaurants. The social distance crown was introduced in Germany, and it has 1.8 meters diameter, and it's made of cardboard. It seems that soon will be available in the UK and other countries as soon as they reopen, so be aware if you are willing to get one of these. Of course, if you want to raise the bet, you can get another great outfit: the long-nosed leather shoes developed by the Romanian shoemaker Gregory Lup. Please be aware that it takes him 2 days to make a pair, which requires almost 1 square meter of leather, and they cost $115 a pair. We reached the space, but have you ever wondered how astronauts feel when they return? The astronaut A.J. Fostel shared on his Twitter how difficult it is to walk again due to the lack of gravity in the space. In this case, the astronaut returned to Earth after 6 months and a half in the International Space Station. One of the most critical side effects of the lack or lower gravity are the loss of bone and muscle mass. That's why it's really important that astronauts keep a strict training routine even in the space. And even with that, you can see how they still have to pass through a recovery phase here on Earth. Microsoft starts using artificial intelligence for its MSN News portal stories. In this initial stage, they aiming to replace only news contractors, about 50 in the US and 27 in the UK. They were in charge of choosing, editing, and curating stories. The future of stories written by artificial intelligence is today a bit far away. Also, Microsoft will keep their current full-time employees, and they also clarified that this situation has nothing to do with the pandemic situation. In a weird glitch in the matrix, this report was extracted from the very own Microsoft MSN news site. So it seems that the artificial intelligence still needs some tweak. Or maybe it did it on purpose just to brag about who's the boss now. Which is the length of terms of your favorite apps? Yep, the ones you accept without reading. The website visualcapitalist.com took the time to list the terms of service of the most popular apps and services. We kind of expect the result, but have them all together is enlightening. The top 3 in this list are Microsoft with 15,260 words, around 63.5 minutes to read. Spotify, 8,600 words, around 35.8 minutes of lecture. And surprisingly, the game Pokemon Go with 8,466 words with 35.2 minutes. You can visit the site and see many of the other 21 entries on the list with companies like Tinder, Zoom, Netflix, and of course Facebook. This was inspired by the project title I Agree from the designer Dima Yarovinsky. The links to both projects are in the description. Huawei's executive closer to an extradition to US. A judge in Canada ruled that extradition of Huawei's chief financial officer, Meng can move to the next stage. The cause of this detention was that, according to the US Department of Justice, Huawei sold communications equipment to Iran. The issue is that Huawei uses American technology, and the US exports law forbids transferring that technology to countries under sanction. This was done not directly, but through an affiliated called Skycom Tech. In order to Meng extradition can be applied in Canada, have to exist a double criminality, which according to the Canadian law occurs when a subject needs to face criminal charges in both Canada and the receiving country in order for an extradition can be approved. The criminal charges that Canada accused Meng were the making of intentionally false statement. All this because in 2013, Huawei didn't mention the relationship they had with the Skycom in order to obtain funding from the bank HSBC. According to them, that constitutes bank fraud. Her defense team argued that the extradition did not satisfy the requirement of double criminality because it was based on the accusation that U.S. sanctions against Iran has been breached, sanctions that Canada no longer has in place. Meng will continue under house arrest on her multi-million-dollar home in Vancouver. However, she have a last chance to walk free if the court finds that the Canadian authorities violated Meng's right during her arrest, as her lawyer had alleged. The next day to appear in court will be by June 15. Now, imagine an alternate reality. I can think what would have happened if China detains an US or Canadian high-profile citizen with charges of fraud for over 500 days using that accusation. This is all this week. You can also watch the emissions via YouTube and Instagram channels, or listen to the podcast using Spotify, Google Podcasts, or SoundCloud. Feel free to interact with us in the comments. See you on the next episode. This is Rash for re.brevis.